You need to change your oil. Here's how. Pay attention because there's going to be things throughout the video you might need that I won't mention at the beginning because I forgot. So watch the whole thing before you go and try this. Today's victim is the beater Camry. Step 1, figure out what kind of oil it takes. Usually it'll say it on the cap. Mine says 5W30. Pretend that says a 5. This is 10W30. Don't ask questions. Next step, figure out how much it takes. You can go to Google, type in what kind of car you have and what engine. This is 2.4 liter. So you'd type in your vehicle, make, model, and year, and what engine, and it usually will tell you that, or go to a parts store, ask them. They'll tell you most of the time. If they don't know, probably go to a different store. Then you want to figure out what filter it takes. Mine takes this one. I got mine from O'Reilly's. It doesn't really matter. Step 2, find a way to access the bottom of the car. 99% of the time, oil comes out the bottom, goes in the top. It's going to be the same for something like this, or this, or this. Either way, you got to get underneath it. Otherwise, you ain't getting the oil out. You need a jack or ramps. Ramps would go under your front tires. You drive up on them. That's probably the easiest, probably the cheapest. I don't have them, so I'm going to use a jack. Side note, if you are using a jack, use jack stands. Put them under a solid piece of the vehicle and put them as close to it as you can. That way, if the jack falls, the car doesn't fall on you. I'm not going to use them. Makes filming easier. Do what I say, not what I do. If you're using a jack like me, got to figure out where to put it. Vehicles have specific spots that they're supposed to jack from, depending on manufacturer and what model it is. I like to just find a big old bar right in the front. Make sure it's not a piece of the engine, but this is a piece of the frame or subframe. It'll work. So I'm going to take my jack and I'm going to wheel it right underneath that piece there, and I'm going to jack the car up from that piece. As you can see, it is pushing on that piece, and I'm going to jack it up far enough that I can get underneath of it. Now you can just slither underneath it on the floor, or you can use a creeper. I'm going to use a creeper because I have them. You don't need one, but it's nice. Step 3, once you have access to the bottom of the vehicle, you need something to put the oil in. You need something to get the drain plug out. Mine happens to be a 14 millimeter. It's going to be different for every vehicle. And you might want something like this. This goes on that extension, which goes on here, which clamps onto the bottom of the oil filter. See, it's spring-loaded. It's hard to do it one-handed, but it's spring-loaded, and you just spin the oil filter off with this. That's for, if the oil filter is really tight, or let's say you've got a torn ligament in your hand or something. This is a lifesaver. It's handy to have in case some gorilla put the oil filter on with an impact wrench. Step I don't even know anymore. Once you're under here, find your oil pan. Engine oil pan, not the transmission. My transmission oil pan's over there. Make sure you get the right one. Transmission on a front-wheel drive car, usually towards the driver's side. I don't know of any one of them that's not. I'm not going to say every one of them is, but usually. I could have put my jack in a better spot. Anyway, engine oil pan. This is the drain plug. You got to take this out to get the oil out. Also, while I'm here, filter's up in here. It's kind of hard to get to. Not really, but it's kind of hard to get a good angle on. That's where that guy comes in. Take your tool, take your drain plug out. Now, I would recommend driving the vehicle for at least a little while before you do this to get the oil hot so it drains out faster and drains out more thoroughly. However, if you have hands that are sensitive to heat, I would not recommend this because oil gets extremely hot. I've burned my hands enough times I can't even feel it, so it doesn't really matter. Once that drains out, put the drain plug back in, make sure it's tight, because if this falls out, you're not just going to be paying for an oil change, you're going to be paying for a new engine. If you do one thing right, make sure it's this. Now that our oil drain plug is tight and our oil is drained, move on to the filter. My jack is going to be kind of in the way, so it's going to be a mess. You can punch a hole in the bottom of the filter to drain it out. I usually do that on bigger stuff, like the Semi, but a lot of times you just loosen it up like that, and you're going to... This isn't a clean job. You're going to get messy. Loosen it up, let it drain out a little bit. Take it the rest of the way off. Bear with me here. And just dump it in your pan. I usually just drop it in there. Now, time to clean up your hands a bit. Next, put your new oil filter on. They have a seal on top, most of them. Little rubber seal. You want to put some oil on that. Well, there's a whole bunch of oil right there. I just use the old oil. Just put a little bit of it on there, just so it doesn't... If you don't do this, they're a real bugger to get off. Take your new filter, get back underneath, find where it goes. Try not to hit it on anything, which I've already failed at. And just get it started on the threads and spin it until it just touches like that. Just touches. And give it 1/4 to 1/2 a turn. You don't have to be a gorilla on crack about it. Otherwise, you're going to hate yourself next time you go to do this. You will not be able to get it off. You don't need it super tight because they will tighten up over time. Some vehicles have an oil filter up here. It will be a cap somewhere. It varies. And the filter will be just a paper cartridge. Take the cap out, take the paper cartridge out of that, put the new one in, new O-ring on the cap. Usually comes with the filter. Screw the cap back in. That's one time where you want to do the filter before you drain the oil. Those styles where they're up here and they're in a canister or they're a cartridge style, when you take them out, there is a little valve that sits in the bottom of that lets all the oil that was trapped in it drain back into the oil pan. If you drain the oil, put the plug back in, and then take the filter out, well, suddenly you're going to have maybe a quart of old oil still left in the pan. If you have the cartridge style that's up on top, do that first. Now that we're done underneath, we can let it back down. Now it's time to put your new oil in. Mine calls for 4.5 quarts. You're probably gonna need a funnel for this. Try and, as creatively as possible, dump it in without spilling it everywhere. I'm gonna put 5 quarts in because it burns oil, but I would stick to what the manufacturer recommends. Then once you're done with that, put your old oil in the new oil jug. Well, some auto parts stores will actually dispose of it for you. Or if you're someone like me, you got a big old barrel over there to dump it in. So I'm just gonna do that. Next step, start the car. Let it run for a little while. This is a good time to look at how many miles are on it and write down when you want to change your oil next time. I just use a trip meter. As you can see, I like to change it every 4,000. I went a little over on this one, not the end of the world. So I'm just gonna reset my trip B. Now if I wanted to, I would just put a sticker or a piece of tape or something on the windshield and I would write 274 and that's when I would change it next. And I think that's ran long enough. Now what you wanna do is you wanna check your oil. You need a rag. This is your engine oil dipstick. Well, this is my engine oil dipstick. This is my transmission fluid dipstick. Take your engine oil dipstick, yank it out, get it clean, or at least mostly. Shove it in there. Pull it back out. Look where the oil's at. Mine's a little over full, but that's to be expected because I put 5 quarts in it. That right there, that L means it's low. If it's below that line, it's low. F means full. You know, anything in between is fine. Not that hard to mess it up. It can be hard to see at times. You've successfully changed your oil.